Greetings fellow Whovians and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. To date there have been 40 companions who have shared the adventures with the Doctor in the TARDIS, and that is not including any of the members of UNIT or any of the companions in the audio adventures. Like when the Doctor regenerates, it's always sad to see a companion say goodbye, but throughout Doctor Who's history there have been some that have been truly heartbreaking. So today I'm going to list my top 5 heartbreaking companion departures. Number 5, Jo Grant in The Green Death. This is more of a sad departure for the Doctor rather than it is for Miss Grant, as throughout her tenure with the Third Doctor we see her grow and learn, but throughout the 6-part adventure of The Green Death we do get to see their paths start to separate as she starts to fall in love with Professor Jones. The fledgling has left the coop, as the Third Doctor puts it. And at the end of that adventure, they announce that Jo and Professor Jones are getting married, which is great celebration, but we see the Third Doctor slinking off away in Bessie, as he knows this is just too much for him, really. You can tell how much that of a bond that the Third Doctor and Jo had, and I think you see a bit more of that with John Pertwee as well, as in the next season he decides to leave, especially with the whole UNIT family starting to break apart as the show goes into another direction. So that just adds more to this heartbreaking departure. Number 4, Rose Tyler, Doomsday. Tension is completely running high as the Doctor and Rose cling on for dear life as they suck the Cybermen and the Daleks into the void. And just when you think Rose was going to go into the void with them, her alternative universe father, Pete, manages to rescue her in the nick of time, pulling her into his reality and sealing the breach. For Rose, it was a fate worse than death, with the walls of reality closing and no chance of her seeing the Doctor again. Say what you like for Russell T Davies, he knows how to pull on the emotional heartstrings, and just seeing Rose slapping that wall, begging to be taken back to her reality with her Doctor, knowing that it was not going to happen, is just heartbreaking. And just when you get over that gut-wrencher, she does get one final moment with the 10th Doctor as he manages to find a crack in the walls of reality just before it completely seals. They have a chat on a beach in Bad Wolf Bay. She gets to say I love you, but the breach seals before the Doctor returns his words. And again, yeah, more tears flow, I would imagine. And who would have thought that from Billie Piper, to be honest? She was superb throughout her tenure as in Doctor Who as Rose Tyler. Now, the character, for me personally, I find her a bit too selfish at times, especially in the second season of Doctor Who. But I'm not taking anything away from Billie Piper's performance. It was superb. Number 3, Adric, from the 5th Doctor story, Earthshock. Now, Adric was certainly not one of the most popular companions in the Doctor Who history, but his death was certainly a memorable one. Heroically trying to solve the logic code to steer the freighter away from Earth, only for the computer to be destroyed by a rogue Cyberman. Clutching at his sash given to him by his brother, all Adric could do was watch, as he never knew whether his mathematical calculations were correct, whilst the Doctor safely watches from the TARDIS the freighter going into Earth and exploding. This was just such a shocking scene. It certainly put the shock in Earthshock back in the 80s, and even watching now. It just fits the 5th Doctor's story arc throughout his tenure of being brave yet vulnerable, and having to just live with Adric's death for the rest of his life. Number 2, Sarah Jane Smith, The Hand of Fear. The Doctor and Sarah's adventures come to an abrupt end when the 4th Doctor has been ordered to return to Gallifrey, knowing that he can't take Sarah with him. After everything that they've been through together, their final goodbye is just pure platonic love. The fact that Elizabeth Sladen and Tom Baker practically wrote this scene themselves, got together and wrote it themselves, is just breathtaking to watch. and the Doctor saying the immortal line, "Till we meet again, Sarah," is just so much more poignant now that sadly Elizabeth Sladen passed away in 2011. Before I reveal my number one spot, here are a few honourable mentions. Tegan Jovanka, Resurrection of the Daleks. After that bloodbath that is the four-part adventure, Resurrection of the Daleks, the loudmouth air hostess from Australia has called it time and has had enough of the Doctor's adventures. It has stopped being fun, Doctor, as she immortally says. You could argue that her departure was a little rushed, given that she was in the show for about 3 years, but I thought that her departure was really impactful, and it definitely just fits what was going on in the Fifth Doctor's story arc as well, similar to Adric, as I addressed earlier. And it just shows that the Doctor's ways of adventures, you know now that he has to amend his ways. Katarina from the Daleks' Master Plan. She might have been a short-lived companion, but again, a very impactful exit as she ejects herself and her kidnapper, who held her hostage, out of an airlock into space. It was so gruesome after rewatching it recently, especially with Steven Tyler shouting out "Katarina!" and just the first Doctor being in denial, saying that she couldn't understand, she could never understand. Her sacrifice was, if anything, the first Doctor being in denial, because Katarina literally saw the Doctor as a god, as you saw in previous stories. This was definitely shocking then from the 60s, and rewatching it recently, definitely heartbreaking and shocking now. Clara Oswald, Face the Raven. Now hear me out. I know there's quite a few Whovians out there that feels that Clara might have outstayed her welcome as a companion to the Doctor, but you can't deny the impact of her departure in Face the Raven was, especially for the 12th Doctor. He was begging for Clara to stay, knowing that what she was about to do was going to be fatal. And just the lines that come out from Clara, "I don't want you to be a warrior, I want you to be a doctor," sort of harking back from the War Doctor. And I loved all of that sort of arc that was coming from Stephen Moffat. It was a brilliant scene. Now, you could argue that it could have been slightly undone towards the season finale, but this carried over from the Heaven Sent episode as well, with the Doctor just in utter turmoil from Clara's demise. So for me, that's why it was a heartbreaking departure, even though it was a bit of a fingers crossed she's not really dead. And my number one heartbreaking companion departure is Donna Noble, Journey's End. Donna Noble grew as a person throughout her time with the 10th Doctor, climaxing to an absolute peak when the Meta Crisis, and she became the Dr. Donna, having the Doctor's brain and knowledge with her own feisty personality. It was a perfect combination from the stars, only to be cruelly taken away as there can't be a Meta Crisis with a human and a Time Lord. All that knowledge was killing her, and she knew what was needed to be done, and even the Doctor knew that he had to take it one step further. He had to wipe literally everything out of her mind associated with their time together. I felt that she came away with a worse deal than what Rose Tyler had. At least Rose got a human Doctor hybrid to fall in love with in the alternate universe, where Donna comes away with absolutely nothing, had absolutely everything wiped, as her mind completely wiped. It had to be done. And it's even more sad when Wilfred said that she was better with the Doctor. It's just so sad, so heartbreaking, and it was sold so well by Catherine Tate. Her performance throughout the entire run in season 4 was brilliant, superb, beyond my expectations. She should have definitely got an award for her performance as Donna Noble. But just having that friendship, none of this romance that we saw in modern Doctor Who, it was a nice change of pace, and just all that friendship just gone in an instant. It's the most heartbreaking companion departure. Well, my number one pick as the heartbreaking companion departure. Did you agree with my list? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know what was your heartbreaking companion departure that got you right here in the human heart. Next time on Timey Wimey Review, I'm going to review the second Doctor classic, The Mind Robber. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out in the description below, I've got more in-depth reviews of some of the stories that I've mentioned today, including The Hand of Fear and Earthshock. And also look out for a special video coming soon on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. Until then, as the good doctor once said, I'm so sorry, but it was the best of times.